Wes thu Halmin Freyon and welcome to yet another video. Tis the time for yet another review of House of the Dragon, my dear friends. And for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome to European Lore, a channel of a humble European guy who likes to rant about things on the internet. A man who has devoted his entire personal and academic life to the works of fantasy of the 20th century, as well as the good old English literature and language. So please do feel free to check out my other videos that are, from the most part, defending those good old storytelling techniques. And of course, I am referring to The Rings of Power, which finally ended, but we are fortunate to have one more episode of the House of the Dragon. So once again, feel free to check out my other videos. Now, we have to, again, compare those two fantasy shows that have been airing at about the same time, House of the Dragon and The Rings of Power. And of course, one is an adaptation, that is House of the Dragon, and the other one is an abomination, and that is The Rings of Power. But I will not go into depth. I have made more than enough videos about that particular show. Now, House of the Dragon is a very specific in that it adapts a book that is very chronicle-like, that is a collection of writings of maesters and historians, and things like, or people like that. So we could say that it's got an unreliable narrator, because several events are discussed and described by different people, and in most cases, or in a lot of cases, those events are described differently by those different people, of course. Now, there you go, and you have to also think about the fact that can we really trust history? Now, that's maybe too philosophical for this video, but the important thing is that we started the episode with, of course, the death of King Viserys Targaryen, when in the book, well, he died, and Alicent got to know it, but she did not let anybody really know. In the show, of course, they kept it a secret for a little bit as well, but in the book it was much longer. It was about a week, and also they did not give him to the Silent Sisters to prepare his body for the funeral, but they left the body of Viserys Targaryen in his bedchambers for a week to rot. And it was, I think, even described that the rats started to chew on them. So that's a bit more gritty, a bit more gory in the book right there. Also, the Valyrian steel dagger played a much smaller part in the book, if any, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, there was this thing about the speech that King Viserys had in the last episode to Alicent, and she, of course, thought he was talking about her son, Aegon, but he was talking about Aegon the Conqueror. So there was the confusion between the two Aegons, and that's how she got the idea that he really wished for his son Aegon to become the king after him. Well, that didn't happen in the books. She just by herself wanted her son Aegon to become the king, and that is why after Viserys died, she just sent the ravens to different lords and ladies in the Westeros that could potentially join her and break the oath that they made to Rhaenyra Targaryen. But then, of course, it was made public, and Aegon was crowned king. Now, there were a couple of more changes. For example, when we've got the Green Council, it's called the Green Council now because it was only composed by people who supported Alicent. Apart from, of course, Bisbury, Lord Bisbury, is the old guy from the episode who got his head smashed in by Sir Criston Cole. Yeah, so this is now only Green Council. Now, there you can see, for example, how much the different accounts from the different historians differ in the book, because there were two different accounts. One of them said that Sir Lord Bisbury was taken to a dungeon and he died there being cold and sick, and the other one described the events as they happened in the book, so they chose that one. So there you can see that they have a lot to work with. Sometimes there are a couple of versions of an event, and the showrunners chose one of them. Sometimes they chose neither. Sometimes they just made up their own. But still, I always say, if you want to make a good adaptation, you can change things, you can omit things, you can twist things, but you also or always have to keep the law, respect the law, and that of course is what the House of the Dragon is doing. Now, as far as Sir Harold Westerling, he in the book he died on the stepstones, and then Kristen Cole took his place. Now, in the show, I love that actor, and Graham McTavish, I think is his name. And that scene, of course, I would say was a very clear and deliberate reference to Sir Barristan Selmy in the Game of Thrones, when he did basically the same thing. He just took off his white cloak and just went off because he did not agree with what he was ordered to do. So that I liked very much. That's probably one of my favorite scenes there. The other scene that was very interesting was the Quentin Tarantino scene. Oh yes, do you remember the scene with the feet and Sir Larys? That was very creepy. That was creepy even for the standards of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. So kudos to that show. But it just shows that the show still keeps in mind that it's after all about human beings, about people, and people are twisted and not always very good. So yeah, but of course, if somebody likes them feet, I'm not judging. And it was consensual. She deliberately took off her shoes and her stockings, and let us leave it there. And the other interesting scene was, of course, the other big change from the book, and that's the ending, the very ending. Wow, that fit the action show, let us say, when Rhaenys just found her dragon and smashed the whole place, during which she killed a lot of common people, a lot of plebs, which I don't think she would do, but that's just one of my little gripes there. But otherwise, for the common consumer, for people who are not interested in the books and in the source material and who are looking for huge action scenes, I think that the ending was quite good. And it depicted Rhaenys as being a total badass, which I like. So, as of this moment, Rhaenys Targaryen becomes my fourth favorite show character, or House of the Dragon show character. The first one being Viserys, the second one being Rhaenyra, and the third one being Daemon Targaryen. Now we've got Rhaenys there. What really happened in the book was that I think it was Sir Stephen Darklyn, but that might be revealed. That I think we will get there in the 10th episode, because this episode only focused on the Greens, on the Hightower side of the struggle. I think that the next episode is going to be just and only in the vast majority focused on the House Targaryen, on the Blacks, as they say in the source material. So I think this will happen in the next episode, that Sir Stephen Darklyn, I think he was one of the White Cloaks, he secretly took Viserys' crown to Rhaenyra Targaryen. Because if you were paying attention, when they were crowning Aegon the second, they put on his head not the crown that Viserys was wearing, but the crown of the Conqueror, his namesake, Aegon the First. And I think that in the book it was supposed to be ornamented with rubies, but here it looked a bit more, regular and plain. But of course, if you really focus and pay attention, you can see places engraved or stamped in the crown where rubies could fit, and otherwise it looks very much like the many paintings that are officially put into the book. So that I liked very much indeed. Otherwise, this episode was I liked it because finally it depicted everything that we know about A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. The beautiful mixture and combination of the intrigues and schemes and plots that are being done in the court, in Westeros, in King's Landing, but also fights and like true old medieval fantasy film or TV show, but also fantasy, pure fantasy, that of course being the dragons. Now, all in all, people might be saying that, there have not been enough of the dragons, but if they stick to the source material a bit more, or in the upcoming episodes as well, don't worry, we are going to see more of the dragons, much more. And I would say that this is pretty much all the important things that I wanted to say. Well, there was a dragon during the coronation in the book, but there was when Aegon, when he was crowned, he got on his own dragon and he flew thrice. He flew over the crowd in the book. So there was a dragon. All right, let me know in the comments down below what you think about it. These were just things that I needed to point out about it. All in all, I liked the episode as much as I liked the previous episodes, and I am just glad that we've got one more to look forward to. All right, let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that will be all. Thank you very much for watching. El Namarie.